Lee, and today I have an international entrepreneur interview. I am joined by Lee, a great colleague of mine from New York. So without further ado, let's get the interview started. Lee, would you like to introduce yourself and your business?
Yes, hello everyone. I am Lee Wright. I am a holistic interior designer, and you can find me on sleewright.com.
Excellent. And all these details will be in the bio and description, so please do follow Lee and check out her website. Lee, I'm so happy to have you on the show today and to see you in person in London. Oh my gosh, it's just a joy. Because I think it was about 2 years ago when
I think 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, way too long, let's just say that.
Yeah, and it was good to see you there. So thank you for always staying in contact and dropping by when you are in London.
Oh, it's so good that our timing worked out
this
time.
Yeah. So I would love to share your story because it's a bit of a triangle from London to Spain, back to London, and there was a bit of Glasgow.
Yeah.
So when did you actually start the business of holistic design in interior design?
Yeah, so my holistic interior design approach started in 2002, which, you know, as time goes on, that doesn't seem that long ago, but it was 17 years ago. And prior to that, I had been a commercial interior designer working in London and then in New York and in Glasgow. But I decided in 2002 I wanted to start focusing on the human beings that were living in the spaces.
And what was that drive or niche to make it more holistic? Because at that time, feng shui wasn't very popular.
I think everyone thought I was really going completely crazy. The term holistic was not coined back then. I coined it because I realized when I quit my corporate job, it was because my life was severely out of balance.
Got you.
I had gotten very addicted to my job, very addicted to working all the time.
But that's also the New York life as well, isn't it?
New York and London, right?
Yeah, tell me about it.
It was absolutely a new way of looking at things, and my family thought, and all my friends were like, you're just completely crazy. But I knew that that was going to be something that was going to feed me. So I wanted to actually start the holistic approach. I had studied aromatherapy and reflexology and then feng shui, all adding to my holistic interior. Well, I studied interior architecture and psychology. So I was like this kind of corporate, serious person and started getting all of this kind of soft stuff because I just realized that was more sustainable. Long term, making people feel good in their spaces.
I think you're a bit of a visionary at that time because obviously we're in a great movement now with vegan, healthy living, work-life balance, and at that time it wasn't.
Oh,
so I
honey,
think you saw
I was way ahead of the curve. You know, which is really great.
Yes.
We live forward, but we learn backwards.
Absolutely. What were some of the challenges around 2002 when you had to present the service or say to the client, look, this is interior design, but the specialist is holistic? How did you go about that for them to understand?
Yeah, it was a tough road. It's a tough road to actually be a visionary and to be doing something that's kind of groundbreaking. I am so thrilled that people are sustainable and green and feng shui and aromatherapy and reflexology are all a bit more commonplace, a bit more things that people are comfortable with. But back then, it was an uphill battle. You know, I had to constantly give them information and educate people. You know, honey, this was way before mobile phones and the internet was still there, but just not the way that it is now.
Absolutely.
So running a business back then was grassroots.
Absolutely.
Really, really groundbreaking. Having to educate and slowly tease my clients into understanding how important their spaces are to their happiness.
Absolutely.
You know, people are at least getting aware of how out of balance they are. You know, but I would share my own story, Bella. I would share my story about how
they would get it, and that's how they will understand.
They start to recognize that they were out of balance.
Got you. Got you.
I mean, it's still a mission.
Absolutely.
I still struggle to get people to fully grasp it.
Yeah.
You know, my undercore foundation is that I believe the spaces that we live in and work in, eat, sleep, everything, deeply impact the way we live.
Absolutely. And when you have a client in this current time, when you first have the initial consultation or briefing them, what's your ABC or blueprint to find out what holistic needs do they have? Do you, because each client's going to be different, but how do you start with that consultation?
Well, darling, I've been doing it a long time. And the world keeps changing, right? Like we're having to evolve and transition ourselves along with what's going on in the market. So in the beginning, I gave people what I called the magic box, and it was literally a box. And it was a workbook, and they had little jars that they had to fill with their favorite things. They had to answer a whole bunch of stuff. But, you know, honey, in 2002, it's different than today. Now it's much more of an online workbook that they have to do. And we create a vision board, and I help them understand things. It's still kind of, it's fascinating to see how little people really go deep into their heart to think about the things that make them happy in their life. And they're often really skeptical, especially the men. But afterwards, they're like, wow, this really does work. So now it's turned into a much more digital.
Got you. So
because I'm a little bit, I'm a bit more of an online girl now, right? So I'm a bit more of a consultant.
Absolutely.
Because we've had to evolve with times.
And just for the audience to understand, because interior design can mean so many different things, and would that mean that it's all residential internally with the home, or is there certain rooms that you tend to favour, or is it the whole home, the whole project? What does that look like?
So that's a really great question. There's a lot of confusion in the world about interior design. It has become a super, super, super popular thing, and I'm really happy that the world gives a hoot about their spaces these days. But there is a big difference between interior decoration, interior design, architects. Right? So I am a classically trained interior architect. I went to 5 years of school for interior architecture, which is about the interior of a building. And I specialize in my education, specializes in renovations, right? But being a decorator is really important too, because colors and all of the things that make a space cozy and all of that. So I say holistic because I look at a space on how it's going to actually function for you. And one of my taglines is, it's not just a pretty space because it has to function for you.
Function. Right? So I think that's where the key word is.
I have focused on, in the 30 years I have been an interior designer, I have done everything from workspaces, offices, college dormitories, restaurants, apartments, houses. So I can do it all. I've won awards in kitchens and bathrooms. They are by far the most complicated and expensive room in the house. But I really, one of the things that I think sets me aside is I believe great design can be done across the board.
The board,
And it's kind of counterintuitive, especially in today's world. Most people get into a niche. And I say my niche is just great design. And my niche is helping you figure out what's good for you. And then me helping you find the path on how to implement it. And it's not about spending a lot of money. It's not about the biggest, brightest, prettiest. It's not about fancy stuff. I'm much more realistic than the kind of glamorous, high-end luxury. And I'm hugely sustainable today.
Absolutely.
So
I think that's key.
I believe great design is green design. Great design, green design is feng shui, which is an ancient practice on mindful design. That's my specialty.
Fantastic. So guys, if you've just tuned in, you are watching the Bella Networking TV show, and I'm joined by Nyc Wright, who is an international guest from New York. So I'm so happy to have her here, and we've been discussing her niche for holistic interior design, and we're going to talk about this triangle she has going on between London, Spain and New York. So tell me, how has this expanded now that you're in London some of the time and you're also based in Spain? So when did you relocate to Spain?
So yes, great story. So 5 years ago in New York, running my company for about 15 years, and the world had been disrupted, like most businesses, right?
And you have to keep on top of your business as well.
Got to change with the times and listen to what people need.
Because things do change in business.
Oh God, completely. So the big economic crash of 2008 really changed the way people could spend money on their interiors.
Really?
And excitingly, I really like that people care about their spaces, but their disposable income changed a great deal. The DIY market is a multi-billion dollar market. People believe with Google that they can do a lot of things themselves. I am going to say that, you know, after 30 years, I probably know a thing or two more, but I had to switch my business to be more consulting. So I'm like your go-to to help you do it. Not necessarily the full white glove service, because not as many people are looking to do that. So 5 years ago, the industry's disrupted. I thought, I need to do something that's good for me. I need to be in a space that supports me. And I've always been a bit of an international. So I moved to have my home by the sea in Spain.
Wow.
Because I started to take advantage of technology. So my clients are in New York and in London and pretty much anywhere else.
Do you know, I really have to commend you on that you reevaluated your business to start with, because we always talk about, we spend so much time in the business, servicing the clients, but you looked at on the business, you looked at change, you looked at technology. But the biggest question I've asked, because consulting, yes, you may not need to be face to face, but interior design is in somebody's home or the project. So the only question is, how do you do the project management of being in the home and having the reliable team if they're in London and New York? Because that's trust as well.
It is.
How do you overcome that?
Yeah. You know, interestingly enough, I was scared about that. At first, to be honest, I was scared that wasn't going to be possible. But you know, sometimes you have to dive in with a big leap of faith. So I've always believed, and more so now, it's all about clear communication. Calm, clear, consistent communication will win the race every single day.
And how much of it is trust as well? Because if you're in London or Spain and the project is happening in New York and you know, your team.
Totally.
How did you overcome that?
Your entire life is about relationships.
Yes.
But relationships evolve and change too.
Yes.
So it has been a dance, right? And it keeps evolving and going, but it is about calm, clear, consistent communication. I'm not kidding you. That is the foundation to it. And walking people through the steps. Since more and more people are getting involved, Bella. People want to be involved with picking out their own things, and they want to understand the budget. And God knows there's a lot of information on Google.
Yes.
So they're doing a lot of the stuff. I guide them on how to do it.
And I guess that's where you also said you took on board, and I totally agree with you, on technology.
Yeah.
So you've allowed technology to actually make the processes easier for you.
Yeah. Totally yes and no. I do not use AutoCAD. I hand draw my drawings.
Wow.
I know, I'm so old school, but I really love it, and I really feel that I get a feeling for that. But doing a drawing in my office in Tribeca when my client was in Soho was no different than me doing my drawing in Spain and getting it over. So it's interesting that
the day-to-day interior creative from you still can do that old school way, but use the technology for communication. But you know what, this is so wonderful to hear, because I know how international you are, and it doesn't just have to stop at that triangle, London, Spain or New York, you know, it can go further. So I love to hear that.
Me too. I love to travel, and I get really inspired by different cultures, and you know that I am expanding my business to teach people how to design their own spaces. People are are hungry to learn how to do their own design. So just because I've been doing it for 30 years and it's my profession, there are people who want to take ownership of their own spaces, and I'm really happy to teach them how to do that. And so I'm starting to do these workshops, these retreats in other cultures, like I just was in Marrakesh. Because it's such a yummy culture, and you can get so much inspiration from being somewhere new. And so I just did my first workshop there, teaching people how to use feng shui in their own space. So
well, I'm so glad that you share that, because I would love to know, what have you got planned for 2020? More retreats, or what else do you have planned for next year?
You know, the disruption of the business, of the interior design industry that happened after the economic crash, which just changed people to become more DIY, right? So I do design it with you, DIY. So I am all about hands-on, and as you can tell, I like to talk, and I'm a really good teacher. So
teach what you know.
Oh, absolutely, and share.
You
know, a lot of this stuff in renovations and design
Sure.
is trial and error. I've made a lot of mistakes over the years
Yeah.
because that's just life, right?
Absolutely.
So if I make mistakes, and I've been doing it for 30
Yeah,
years,
you can
I
teach.
want to help people so they can miss
Sure.
those mistakes.
Absolutely.
So 2020 is about workshops.
Yes.
It's about trainings. It's about retreats.
Yes.
And I've written 3 books in the past,
Wow.
which is also trying to help give people the tools so they can do it themselves.
Sure, sure. Guys, if you've just tuned in, you are watching the Bella Networking TV show. Pause it, it's fine.